They were like, oh. I will probably have a breakdown because I always have a little breakdown while I'm sewing. Like, oh my god, it's the worst one yet. Hi. My name is Deborah. I like to sew, knit, crochet, and all things fiber arts. And today we're gonna make a quilted vest. So I'm not only just making a quilted vest, I'm gonna make the quilted fabric myself. I've never done that before, but all the girlies are quilting. And I'm like every other girl. So I also want to do that. And that's actually what this camera is standing on. It's standing on the quilted fabric I've already designed. So I'm going to show that to you guys first. As you can see, these are all denim scraps. The dark gray, this is the same fabric. This is fabric I bought in a fabric store. This denim is the same denim. It came from a thrifted dress. I kept the top from it, but I used the dress for scraps. And the dark blue right here is from a pair of pants that I ripped years ago. And I'm gonna turn into this patchwork denim extravaganza. These pattern pieces are not the pattern pieces I'm gonna use to make the vest. I use these pattern pieces to make another quilted vest. I used the Gabriella pattern from the Fiber Mood edition number 22 to make another quilted vest that I really like, but there are a few tweaks I want to make to that pattern to create the pattern that inspires me for this project, and that is the Vivienne Westwood quilted vest. It looks so cool. It has, instead of having two front panels and a back panel, it has a front panel that kind of gets over the bust and one part of the left side, I guess, of the front panel, and then a normal back panel. But I'm gonna have to tweak this pattern to achieve what I want to make. So that's gonna be step one of me creating this. After I'm done doing that, I think I'm gonna sew all my patches together, and I hope to get there today. That's like the goal for today. Finish this pattern, alter this pattern, and then sew all the patches together. We'll see if that's gonna be possible. First thing that I want to change is the shoulders. My shoulder ends here, but there's an excess amount of fabric right here at the top that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to pin it down, measure it, and remove it from the new pattern I'm making. Then this has a top part here and then a bottom part. I want to make one full front panel, and obviously this is also a front panel, but then just keep it this short. And in the back, also want to create one full back panel. Then also for the back, there is, when you close it in the front, a lot of fabric here that I don't need. So I'm gonna pin it down and cut off all this excess fabric in the back. When you close it, it pulls at the seam on the side. So this seam that's supposed to be here now falls back here. So I also need to find a solution for the front piece so that my side seam falls on the side and not here in the back. So there are a bunch of alterations that need to happen, but the first one is definitely taking out the amount of room I have in the back, pinning it back, and then taking it away from the pattern from the back, and then adding enough seam allowance on the side to make it make sense, and making one big front panel. It's gonna be exciting, it's gonna be fun. I love pattern making. So here I'm pinning down the back of my vest while I'm wearing it to see how much I need to take out. I'm also using my measuring tape as a guideline to see where I need to put my pins so that they're a little straight. This isn't a tutorial, but I just want to give a few tips if people care. I took in a lot of fabric from the back, so I pinned it down. I'm gonna try it on in a minute, but to make sure that it's in the middle of the fabric, I pinned the side seams together from the front, where the front connects the back, to make sure that I'm taking away the same amount of fabric on both sides. I've nipped everything back and it fits perfectly. I have a little shock there, but it fits really well, and it also fixed my shoulders. Like the gaping I had before is gone, so that's perfect. And I'm gonna take half of this amount away from the back panel, connect the top and the bottom part of the back panel together to make one panel, and then the back patterning is done. And I'm gonna have to figure out the front panel. I also changed the side seam because I take off this whole lot. I think this is definitely like 5 to 7 centimeters. I'm gonna have to move the side seam as well, which I've moved. And then I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do for the front. See, I put my hair in a bun, which means it's a serious business. Here you can see I'm taking out 10 centimeters in the back, so in total that's 20 centimeters, which is a pretty big amount. And I'm gonna turn the back into one back panel. Another tip from when you're patterning, use paper scotch tape because you can draw over it, and that makes patterning way easier. If you made a mistake and use paper tape, you can draw over it without having to fight for your life. So, another tip. So here I'm taping the top and the bottom piece of my back panel. Also marking where the dart in the back is gonna start, where I'm gonna take out all this fabric to make it fit better. I'm putting markings down the dart to measure the distance between the end and the beginning of the dart, so I can also put these markings on my pattern piece and always take the right amount of fabric away by using the pins where I marked as different stages to measure and then connect all these lines on my pattern piece. I will also use my measuring tape because my ruler isn't long enough to connect from the bottom of my pattern piece to the top. So and then when I folded it, I saw it was way too much. I would have to change the pattern completely if I take this much away from this side. I am gonna try out another version because now I took out 10 centimeters in the back and it's very dramatic. So I think I'm gonna try and take out 5 on each side and see what it looks like, because it's just a little too much, I think. We'll see. I'm gonna try it out. We're back and we've made a better decision. I've separated the 10 centimeters I was gonna take away in one dart. That was a little bit too much. And I separated it in 5 and 5 centimeters, and that's way better. So I'm gonna take 5 centimeters from the front panel, 5 centimeters on one side of the back panel. I don't know if you can see it. And then I'm gonna take this, in total is 10 centimeters, but this was 20 centimeters and it was too much of a dent. This is way better and it fits really well on one side, and it's still loose but not too You know, there's some positive ease, but it's not insane. And it's way better. So that's what I'm going to do. In total, in the back, it's going to be 10 centimeters taken away and then 10 centimeters in the side seam. Much better. So here I'm showing again by taking 5 centimeters on each side of the pattern. So on the side seam and the center back seam, it's way better. I've made a few changes to the pattern, so I'm gonna give you the quick updates. I said I was gonna take 10 centimeters in total in the back and take away 5 and 10 centimeters on the side. Change that. The back stays 10 because that's fine, but the sides I'm gonna take 3 centimeters on each side because I'm just scared that it's not enough positive ease and I want to be able to braid in my vest. Now I'm working on the front panel. I've taped together the top and the bottom part of the front panel I used to make this vest, and I'm gonna now draw the full front panel of the Vivienne Westwood inspired vest. Oh my god, my brain. And design the left little front panel to make it make sense. But this is gonna turn into a full front panel and then I'm gonna separate it in two to create my front panel. Yay! So here I'm just cutting out the pattern paper to create a full front panel. And this really gave me a throwback to when I was in college, having to do all my patterning on the floor because I didn't have a big pattern paper table. And my bag didn't like this, but yeah. That was such a different time. That's such a stressful time and getting everything together. And back then, working on all these details to me was like, I wouldn't say it was a waste of time, but I had so much work that making sure everything makes sense and links together and putting the markings felt like a waste of time. And now, the way that I think about it is so much more, I wouldn't say wholesome, but way better, and I appreciate when I take time to do these things because I know the result is going to be so much better by taking these steps. So it's just interesting to me that I think about it like this now, and yeah, a few years ago I would just be like, I don't have time to measure how much, I wouldn't say how much positive ease I need or the way this is supposed to fall, because I just had so much work. But it's nice to know that I have all these experiences and information in my toolkit, and I now know how to use all this information without fearing for my life for 50 billion deadlines. Anyways, here I'm drawing the curved line of the front piece and being happy because it wasn't easy. It was like free-handed, and I looked at the picture a lot of times because I was just not sure if I was doing a good job, but I think it looks good. Okay, I'm done with the pattern. I'm gonna write everything on my pattern pieces, but I made the front flap, the short one, and then the big overarching one. I think it's fine. I've removed all the excess fabric that I think made this vest that I'm currently wearing a little too wide, and cut everything out, and then I can start sewing the patches together. What I'm doing here is pretty important. I want to mark the places where I'm gonna put my ribbons, and make sure the places fit together on the front panel. So for the big front panel, I've put the markings all over my patterns. I've labeled them. I feel so good that I labeled them. Like, I feel like my former teachers telling me, don't forget to mark your papers, otherwise you don't know what it is. So I've done that. It looks a little wide, but I'm sure it's gonna be fine. And I'm gonna have a little lunch break and then start working on the patchworking. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Right now, everything is going to plan. I will probably have a breakdown because I always have a little breakdown while I'm sewing, but right now, it's looking good. Okay, I'm done with my lunch and the sun is already setting because it's winter. Awesome. I finished the pattern pieces. They look amazing. Now I'm going to start with making the quilted fabric. Now, the quilted fabric is 9 by 20 centimeters. Editing Deborah here. Well, what I'm saying is I already cut a bunch of strips a few days before filming this video, and those strips were 9 by 20 centimeter rectangles, and I wanted to turn them into 9 by 9 squares. That's what I'm talking about. I know I'm just talking in this video like you guys know what I'm talking about, but you don't. That's what I was trying to say. Which was not smart. I should have just done 10 by 20 centimeters, and when I cut it in half, it would make sense. Well, I have to cut it shorter now because I want it to be rectangles. So I'm gonna cut all of the 9 by 20 rectangles into squares that are 9 by 9. And when I have all my 9 by 9 squares, I'll start making the strips and then connect all the strips into fabric. That's what I'm doing now. It's gonna make sense. Yeah. This isn't even 20. Oh, Lord. How did I cut this? Dat could be kind of cute, just little flowers. 9 op 9 is uiteindelijk cool. Flowers, or should it be the blue ones as well? It's kind of cute having some very. The machine, very cute and sweet. So I'm busy. This is gonna take forever, but I'm turning these rectangles into 9 by 9 squares for my patchwork. And I was thinking, you're probably wondering, like, why am I drawing on with a pen? I bought an erasable, like a water erasable pen yesterday. I used it twice and it's already broken and it doesn't work anymore. I found it. This doesn't work. I'll try it again now. If this works now, because I think maybe, I was like, maybe the ink is done. So I'm gonna try it again. But it just doesn't work. It's super frustrating. Okay. Let me ask the audience. Like, am I losing my mind? Or does this not show up? And when I used it the first time, it was such like a visible line. This is so vague. You can't see it. Please tell me you see a line somewhere. It's so faint. Like $8 for this. In this economy, guys, this is not for real. There's nothing showing up. It worked twice. I bought this yesterday. Anyway, that's why I'm using the good old trusted pen to draw this line, because fancy disappearing pens, water soluble pens, they don't work. Not with me. And then I call you back onto the runway. Thank you. And the opportunity to design a fashion accessory for all Red Robin. So, I finished cutting all of my squares. Finally. This took, I don't even know when I started this, but this took forever. They're all 9 by 9. I measured each and every one of them. I am not sewing anymore today for my neighbors and for my mental health. We're not doing that. But this is everything I need to finish making the fabric for my quilted vest. I'm a little delirious. Like, it was a lot of a lot of that. So I'm gonna eat and chill, probably knit a little bit. Yes, a little bit. And I will see you again tomorrow. I finished cutting all of my patches for my patchwork. Yesterday I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna finish also sewing the patchwork fabric. No. So, what did I do yesterday? Yesterday I said I was just gonna cut the squares and then call it a day. But then a few hours when I was done with cutting all the squares, I was like, I still want to do something. So, this is what I did. A few years ago, I don't know, can't even tell you when I did that. Probably 3 to 4 years ago, I saw a video with Wendy, she thrifted a sleeping bag and turned it into a jacket. So I went out looking for a second-hand sleeping bag that I could turn into a jacket. I started the process and gave up. This jacket has been hanging around in my background, probably in the background of my videos as well. All the videos you've seen me when you see my clothing rack, the blue one, that's the jacket. Well, I don't do anything with it and I didn't finish it either because the outer fabric that I would use as the coating for my jacket, it was so thin and it wasn't going to do anything. I really felt like it was just going to absorb the rain. So I gave up on the project and I left it there. But now I need some quilt batting. The quilt batting is, I wouldn't say it's super expensive, but I really didn't want to pay for it even more. And then I remembered I have this blue jacket that's here. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just gonna remove all the stitches from it and use the quilt batting in that jacket for the vest I'm gonna make. So I seam ripped everything. I took everything out of it, but the batting was kind of thick, so I removed one layer of the batting, and this is where we are now. I almost wanted to cut it, and I was like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna make the fabric first, so the quilted fabric first. Then we're gonna cut the patterns out of the quilted fabric. Then we'll put the quilted fabric on the quilt batting. Hi, editing Deborah here. So what I mean, because I'm mixing quilting and patchwork in the last sentences I just spoke. So what I mean is I wanted to finish the patchwork denim fabric first. Then I wanted to put onto the quilt batting and then put the lining on the inside. Enjoy the rest of the video. Because this might stretch in any which weird way and I don't want to figure that out after I've already cut into the quilt batting. That's, yeah. And I see you wondering, why is she wearing a vest that says Muscle Mommy? Well, I just went to the gym and this is my little reward. No, I still haven't woven in the ends yet, but who cares? Anyways, that's everything I've already done. The plan for today is to basically sew a bunch of squares together. I also, oh my god, I completely forgot to say, I made a sketch. Look. And I wrote down everything I need to make this vest, all my plans, so I still have like a general idea of where we're going. But the big plan for today is to make the fabric. I need to make the quilted fabric. Okay? But I haven't eaten yet lunch, obviously. So I'm gonna eat my lunch and then I'm gonna get back into it. So here I'm putting down all of the squares I cut to make this beautiful patchwork fabric. I kind of went for an ombre look. And it turned out really well. I'm super happy. And then at the end I had to put in the dark blue denim as well, in between. because that's the color I had the least amount of squares of, and I really like the way it turned out, and it was enough fabric for my patterns. Okay, I've transformed my little setup into a sewing station. I am ironing on my little IKEA ironing board, and I'm gonna sew on my sewing machine right here. I've laid everything out the way I want it to look at the end. Now I'm gonna press out every square, check one last time, they're 9 by 9, and then sew them all together. I'm gonna press them out and sew a test strip just to see if everything makes sense. I used to hate having to do all this prepping and making sure that everything makes sense when I had to do it for school. But it's so important. I cannot stress how important this is. See, because right now I already see like it's not 9 by 9. So I'm gonna check it again, measure it again. Also, next time I'm doing patchwork, I'm not doing it this exact. This is a lot of work, and I just want to sew. Maybe this is part of the patchwork, the charm of patchworking. You have to make sure everything is perfect. I'm gonna sew this together. I think I'm gonna do just one side at 1 centimeter, and maybe do another side at 1/2 centimeter, and then I can decide which side I prefer. I did one side with 1/2 centimeter and one side with a full centimeter. Positive signs is like this is easier to open up and press open, but this has more fabric. So we're gonna be responsible and take this one. But it looks so good. Let's get into the sewing, shall we? When you pin two pieces of fabric together, you would just take your pin cushion and start pinning right here at the places where the two colors meet, and just pin it and then start sewing. But what happens is you kind of pull on the fabric when you sew it through your sewing machine, so it's never gonna end up at the right place at every cross section. So what you should do is pin it in place at one cross section, and then check when you pin it in place on the other side if the line is lined up. So you see here, okay, this is aligned. When you're at your sewing machine, you don't front and back stitch it. So you don't do a safety stitch, you just let it run through, and you only stitch a few stitches before and a few stitches after where the two squares meet on the front and where the two squares meet on the back. So you remove the safety stitch, put it in your machine. You put it at the distance that you need. I am stitching on 1/2 centimeter, but if you stitch it on 1 centimeter, you put it on 1 centimeter. Okay, hold your fabric right. And then you just remove from your sewing machine. And then as you can see, I just stitched a little bit before the two squares are meeting and a little bit after. And you have a perfect square. I mean, as closely as possible. I think, I don't know if it's perfect, but this is the technique I'm using. You only stitch the place where the patches meet, and then you stitch completely through it. But what I want to say is you just stitch the places where the squares meet, and then you stitch all the way through. That's That's what I've been doing. Here I am feeling myself because every square I stitch together, it forms a beautiful pattern. I'm so hyped. Literally, I'm like obsessed. I'm like, oh my god, everything's going so well. Little did I know that in the evening it will go south. It happened. I'm losing my mind. Yay, I keep making mistake. It's not even a mistake, but it's just one part that doesn't want to match up, and I keep going over and over and over and over again over it. And I'm losing my mind a little bit because it's already 6 o'clock, and I thought I was going to be further right now, and I'm not, and it's annoying. So yeah, this is delirious hours. It's not even late. It's 6 o'clock. In 20 minutes, it's 6 o'clock. So, yeah, we are not thriving. We are barely surviving. This is like the 4th time I'm going to redo this. Oh my God. Anything that makes a sound, I'm like, it's for real. I cannot take it anymore. Anyways, how are you guys doing? Thriving? Barely surviving? 2025 has started out good, bad for you? What's going on? What are we doing? Cause yeah, and I'm also not sitting like I think you're supposed to sit like this when you're knitting, like straight back, good. But I sit like a gremlin. I'm like, oh, I need to fix it. I need to sit like this. Oh no, this pin is not sitting right. Like, and then I wonder why my back hurts at the end of the day. Girl, get it together. Ah. Anyways, I also want to say, you guys, a response on the vest. That's so nice. Next week, I don't have time this week because I'm struggling with this. But next week, I'm gonna remake the vest, and I'm gonna try and write a pattern. I'm so excited. This is so cool. I'm so excited. But I'll keep you guys updated. Definitely keep you guys updated. Yeah, and also the response on the video, guys. I'm just, it's really amazing. It is, yeah. This feels so cool to be a part of this online knitting community, and you guys give me your opinions and feedbacks, and it's really cool. So I really appreciate every single one of you guys, and let's get back into it. Oh my god, it's the worst one yet. Look, it's not straight at all. I don't think you can see it here. This is the last time. This is the last time I'm doing this again. It's the last time. It's the last time. Otherwise, I will lose my mind. It's the last time. Yeah. Help. Okay, we're back. Okay, let's go. Maybe I need to hold the scissor. That's right. Maybe that's the issue. Oh, Lord. Yay! Yes. This is the first part of the problem. The second part is this dark fabric is way stretchier than the fabric I put underneath. So I need to pull it. Yeah, I think this is gonna be the solution. I fixed it finally. Yay, thank you. Woo. Guys, okay, I'm working on the patchwork. It's taking way longer than I expected it to, but what's new? So I have finished this piece. Looks so good. I am so happy. Also the lines. Wait, what is that? It looks so professional. I'm really doing my best to get it to look really, really good. But this is where we are. I have to do a lot of other lines. I already finished 4 strips, pressed and everything. And I have to sew 6 more. And then I'm done with the fabric. I'm gonna finish this fabric today. That's happening today. No, like, I have to do that today. It's 8:30. I have to get going. Let's go, team. Let's go. We are stopping here for today. This is where I've ended up for now. There is one denim fabric that stretches out more than the rest, which sometimes makes it difficult to get perfect squares. And that's a little frustrating, not gonna lie, because I really wanted the squares to be perfectly aligned. So I wouldn't say I'm pivoting, I'm still doing the same design. I just have to accept that the lines aren't gonna be crisp. And that's a little frustrating because I spent all day yesterday making all these 9 by 9 centimeter squares just for them to not fit. Okay, it's a little frustrating. It's not really making the process fun because it just started happening. So I'm not gonna make it loose because I'm gonna quilt it, so I'm gonna sew over it anyways. So some parts are just not gonna be aligned, and I think I'm just gonna have to accept that. The good news is the fabric looks cool. This is what I've made so far, and I've finished all the diagonal strips that I need to create the fabric. The bad news is I wanted to finish making this fabric today, so we're gonna have to rally tomorrow to get it done. Hi, welcome to day 3 of me working on this project. Let's go. I have made some progress on my patchwork denim fabric. This is where I'm at right now. Hey, I don't know. I wanted to say hello. It's day 3 of me working on this vest. It's taking way longer than I thought it would, but we are making progress on the patchwork. This is where we are. It is not perfect, not in the slightest. But yesterday I gave up on trying to have the straight lines meet each other perfectly every single time. I should have bought like a roller knife. That's not the right word, but I'm gonna show a picture of what I'm talking about, to have like the exact 9 by 9 centimeters and have like a panel where you can like roll over, so everything is like the perfect size. So next time I make a patchwork quilt, it will be like perfect. Right now I'm really proud and happy with the colors. Look really really cool. So that is where we are. That's what we're accepting. Yesterday I was a bit in my feelings because it wasn't perfect and it was late at night. So the later it gets, the more frustrated I get at my little Betsy right here, my sewing machine. So I have to get over that and just get through it. I'm almost done. I have 5 more strips left. I'm gonna press it open and attach the next strips. Guys, I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this denim quilted vest patchwork extravaganza. I just wanted to pop in and say that I also have an Instagram. I also have a Pinterest that you can follow to stay up to date with all of my adventures. I will post part 2 tomorrow, so definitely subscribe. Get your notifications on if you really want to see the result. It's really, really good. I swear, I promise it's worth it. I had to cut it into 2 parts because it's just too much footage. Stay tuned for the end result of the fabric. To see the vest, you'll have to wait for part 2 tomorrow. Guys, I finished my patchwork. Finally, Lord, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. Once again, the patchwork quilt girlies. First, the craft girlies, but specifically the patchwork girlies. This is so satisfying to see. It was a lot of tedious work, but it's so satisfying to see. Look! Well, I'm gonna cut into it to make my vest, but wow, just, you know, admiring this piece of work. Breasted, even the back looks cool, honestly. Look! This looks so much fun. Okay, I don't have time to ramble about this. I'm gonna cut the patterns into this beautiful work of art, and we need to make haste.